And you
I'm
can't.
not touching their stuff.
And
I have no idea.
You don't know?
No.
Okay, then we're off and running with our experts.
During
I've
the
been having a wood
C-word
shortage.
process, well, that can happen as you get older in life. Come on, man. This is a joke.
Well, you put cologne on your butt?
Well,
So in order to play, you have to wear jorts.
I don't have George. I could probably wear a Speedo now.
Want to do that? No, you probably could.
He'll be over here tomorrow digging out a big-ass bush.
Sonny and share, like and share, whatever. Just something and share.
Yes, hello. Hey, it's another episode. It's Gambl N Fin. I'm Gamble. He's Finn. This be Larger Than Live from Studio G, Season 2, Episode 12. We're just rolling along week to week, I think.
I'm
Something
rolling
like
more
that.
and more every week,
Yes.
unfortunately.
Well,
I don't
trust
know.
me, I would not be considered rolling anywhere right now. I can't roll out of my own home. But we got lots to get to, including we'll kind of recap and we promise if you join us this Wednesday, we'll tell you about it when we take Larger Than Live to our home, away from home, if
Right.
you will, all summer long at the Moorline Logger House, Wednesdays, 5 to 7. I looked at the forecast.
Yes.
I looked. And it looks like by Wednesday, the rain will have moved out of the area.
Nice.
So maybe we'll get out on the beautiful event lawn right there between GABP and Paul Brown Stadium, which is where kind of one of our subjects that we're going to talk about today on Large and Live. Bengals with the NFL draft. We're just a few days removed from that, and a big weekend series with the Cubs. Off day today for the Red Legs, and then Tuesday night, and then Wednesday, if you're heading down for the 12:35, the White Sox, it's a Chicago kind of weekend week. Come over and join us. We'll be your post-game entertainment down at the Moorline
That'd be
Logger
great.
House.
You can just scoot right across the street.
Yep.
There's that open outside bar. You can order food from there. Just hang out outside. Plenty of picnic tables, seating, whatever. I mean, you can even bring your dog if you want to come
You
down.
can.
But we're looking forward to finally taking this to the outside beer
right.
garden at the Moorline Logger House versus opening day where we were inside because of the weather.
Snow.
Last week we were inside. Well, the first week we bounced because of snow
Correct,
again.
snow.
And then last week, boy, we got in there just in time.
Well, it was funny last week
Brutal.
because we were inside their inside beer garden right there, and man, right about the time we were ready to roll, it just started teeming down rain. And it was one of those where I know depending on where you live last Wednesday, it was worse to the north, better to the south, but nonetheless, please, can we have some sunshine in the outside? We're not asking for much. Just let us go outside for God's sake.
Well, we ask you to come down and join us. It is going to be fun again, 5 to 7
Absolutely,
on Wednesdays. We
yep.
had a couple of friends show up this past week.
We did.
Just sort of out of the blue. We had some
Yeah.
special friends. My postman and his lovely wife.
Yes, indeed.
Again, I'm keeping him anonymous because I don't want anybody to steal him from my neighborhood because this guy's the best.
And he's going to make a special delivery to you that you're going to be unaware of that I talked to him about on the side last
I don't think
Wednesday.
federally he's allowed to do what you probably asked him
you know
to
what?
do.
He's getting near the end, right? He's about to hang him up, I think. So he's good. And we
About to
also
retire,
had yes, and then we had our friends from the Quarantine Cocktail Show. We're working on getting some sort of a simulcast, which I think would be really cool.
That would be good.
Because Paul with an O and Shelby. And the O is, I thought, I didn't realize, I assumed that it was some mistake because he's British. This was probably a legitimate mistake because he's from West Virginia.
Maybe it's
so
just
that
a birth
kind of
certificate
explains it,
mistake.
right? So,
Who knows?
but anyway, really cool. I mean, they kind of started a thing, I think, just 2 days after the official COVID last March, where they basically do something every day on YouTube where they kind of give you a mixed beverage, a cocktail, hence the name, and kind of the origin, some history, and they show you how to make it and all that. So that's perfect for us.
Yeah, it was great. It started out kind of as a, well, we did it, and he said we did it for like 2 or 3 people, and then they're like, well, what are you going to do tomorrow? And then all of a sudden, it snowballed. They've been able to convert this into Coach for Kids and raising money for
really
charity and
nice.
everything else. I mean, ours, we will not be nearly as altruistic, but we will come up, hopefully, maybe with a Gambl N Fin cocktail. I'm pretty much sure that the only ingredient will have to be bitters. So outside of that, over ice, maybe that'll be
I've got, you know what, though?
the larger than life.
Let's try to come up. What we'll do is we'll get Paul and Shelby together, and we'll throw in what we would like in there and see if we can somehow make it taste good enough to actually consume.
There you go. And maybe we can get it sold in as a recipe over at Field Collective at their bar. What do you think?
Well,
thank you guys very much for being part of this show.
There you go. And of course, they had a big weekend with they had the Derby Eve.
Yep.
gathering there, and they've got they're doing some other stuff coming up, including a blood drive, correct?
Yeah, there's a bunch of wine tastings coming up, and you have to sign up for those early. And Field Collective, for those who don't know, there in Rookwood is office space for people who don't need permanent office space. You have access to video, teleconferencing, Wi-Fi, anything you need, but there's a full bar, and so much of what we are focused on with our partnership with them
is the bar.
And the social aspect, because they do all these things to keep their members engaged. It's a great networking place, too. You meet people that do different things, and you might be able to find somebody that can help you in a legal field, or there's a podcaster that works out of the second floor and different things like that. But the wine tastings, things that you can sign up for, the blood drive on Friday, May 14th, I think is 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. They're working on barbecues and different. I saw FC Barbecue, and I'm like, they're going to be celebrating the soccer team. But no, that's Field Collective.
There you go. I'm hoping that you mentioned about networking there. I'm hoping to run into a retirement specialist, and I don't even give a damn if I have any money. I'm ready to retire.
Right. And those are exactly the kind of people retirement specialists are looking for.
Yes,
help you manage your lack of funds.
Well, you and me, you're chopping years off and heading out early. I don't care whether I have any money or not. I'm just done.
Just done. Well, before you officially give up, let's wrap up, what we want to get done here today with Larger Than Live. A couple of different things. I mean, obviously, we're going to talk more about the Bengals draft on Wednesday at the Moorline Lager House, but you had a busy week with the baseball event up at Miami University. Great weather, pretty much for that. But did anything catch your eye or your ear besides the first pick with Jamar Chase?
Well, Jamar Chase, I think that was, and I think that kind of went into the best player available, trying to get a number one receiver for Joe Burrow, which makes sense. Former teammate.
Now, will he be able to complete passes to him on his back?
Oh, that's a great. Well, you know what, though? But hang on. Round two, we got the local connection, did a little tweaking and twinging to still be able to take Jackson Carman, who many may remember played at Fairfield High School and went on to play at Clemson. So, was a really talented lineman in high school, but even matured more and better at Clemson, obviously. I don't know. I mean, then they took a defensive end in the third round. I think the Bengals, and this is the question, Finn, the Bengals coaching staff, with the addition of Carman, believe enough in who they already have here on the line. And that's the question. If you're willing to say, okay, you know what I mean? You have to if you're a fan, you kind of have to go, all right, you say that we've seen it before when they've believed. But you know what? If you're going to get Burrow, you got to get a dude who, you look at the numbers that Burrow and Chase put up at LSU, I don't have an issue with anything, quite honestly, that they did.
I don't know a lot about the college play. I mean, the top 10 and the Heisman candidates and everything. You kind of get to know their names and what they do.
Right.
I got the sense from some of the recaps that I looked at that they didn't do much to shore up the defense, which is really, some of the issues that they've got. But it was interesting that they went with Chase first, because that struck me as very Bengal-esque. They went for the flashiest, highest name player instead of doing the thing that I think a lot of people want to see, especially after the devastating knee injury that Burrow had, and that was protect him right out of the chute. Even if it was just a shot across the bow to say, this is our priority, Joe, it's you. But somebody brought up Steve Sadowski, who came down and saw us down at Moorline on Wednesday. He said, why do you think they're not talking as much about Chase with his connection to Burrow? Do you think there's something wrong? And I thought, well, maybe that was just a bit of a head game. They didn't want to telegraph their pass, so to speak.
No question.
So somebody would, try to figure out a way to get this guy out from under him. But I don't know. It just felt very Bengal-esque that they just took the flashiest player and not necessarily the one that would have said, we're here to protect Burrow.
Well, but again, I think they did in the second round, and I gave you that statistic of the 8 playoff teams last year, of their 40 offensive linemen, only 6 had been first-round selections. So history says you can build an offensive line. Now, again, the Bengals have to do that. Every team has to do that. You show me a bad NFL team, and I'll show you a bad line. I mean, anybody who's got a good offense has to have an adequate or better than adequate offensive line.
Okay. I was going to ask you this question with regard to this, but I don't want to spend too much time. We'll spend more time Wednesday at the Lager House on the draft. I'll save it for an extra.
Okay.
Because there was something that came up where now the NFL, and I know it's a 365, 7-day a week, 365 business and whatever, but some of it is starting to turn into baseball in a certain regard. Okay. And we actually spoke about this, but this will be a little short extra at the end. So let's move across the way then, and let's talk about something you brought my attention to yesterday. I had not seen it, but it was said, did you see Amir Garrett? And this kind of plays into the entire psyche of professional sports and the whole thing, and one of the reasons I'm giving up on most professional sports. When I saw that video, I thought, I am not 100% sure what's going on here. It didn't end with any resolution. A guy who should have been kicked out of the game. If you want to explain the scenario, go ahead. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it.
Well, I mean, it's Amir Garrett, and they've had, and obviously the Reds and Cubs and the Reds and Cardinals, and some of this people like, right? It's bitter divisional rivalries, et cetera. There's the Yadi Molina with the Castellanos earlier this year, et cetera. But I mean, Amir Garrett, it's that emotion. The Cubs taking offense to it. The Javi Baez flipping everybody off, and Rizzo, who I like. I mean, I know if you're a Reds fan, you probably hate Anthony Rizzo because he's always the one. But and I know you're getting to this. That's the question. Is it Castellanos? Is it Amir Garrett? Do you need that guy who's kind of got the attitude? See, I guess for me, the issue that I have with Garrett, who pitched better yesterday and has looked a little bit better the last couple times out, but he was horrific earlier in the year.
Right.
I don't want attitude from anyone. It's like the celebratory defensive back who's making a tackle 25 yards downfield on a lengthy gain and standing over a guy. Dude, you just gave up 25 yards. You got burned on the previous series.
Or a guy who gets a sack and they're down by 41 points.
Right, correct. See, in baseball now, I know I heard David Bell. Oh, boy, if you can make it through David Bell in the postgame, please show some emotion. But nonetheless, if you're tired, honestly, yes, absolutely. Just flip the Reds post-game on. You'll be out instantly. And I like David Bell. I do. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
But here's what I would tell you. He thought that was Garrett just exuding emotion to himself, which we've seen guys like that. I mean, some players in all sports, they need it. There have been people who've said, like, that's not about anybody else. I'm not showing anyone up. It's for me. I guess I've never been a show 'em up kind of guy. Just do your job. I don't care. I'm not suggesting don't have emotion. You can have emotion, but there's a fine line between good emotion and crossing over where people are going to get agitated.
Does it have to do with
dugout.
the play? Because you just brought up a great point. I mean, Amir Garrett has sucked. His ERA is over 12, I think, at this point. So is there a difference? Because like Castellanos, when he came in, he beat the tag against a guy who had just pinged him. You know exactly where all that came from. You really do.
Well, and that's
where's that fine line between being a dick about it and being just the guy who's really excited about what he just did to the guy who just did what he did to him.
And I think that's what Bell alluded to was Garrett essentially was, because he's been struggling, now he's starting to get, because the guy's got stuff. He's talented.
Right.
I mean, the two guys who were really, Garrett and Lucas Sims have probably the best stuff, and even TJ Antone gave up. He's got great stuff, gave up a 3-run homer. I don't know. Here's what I do know. Until you get in first place, until you start to win consistently, just play. Just play. Get better. And I know I shouldn't say this, but I can't. Please, on the television network, please, stop kissing the Reds' ass. I love the Reds. I root for the Reds. I watched yesterday's game, which I love the amenities of Great American Ballpark. It is a terrible ballpark distance-wise.
Yeah.
The home runs, the hits, the runs. Oh, this is a great game. Yesterday, for me, was a terrible game. Some routine flies into the seats. That doesn't connotate power hitting.
No.
That connotates a small ballpark. Just stop.
What do they call that? The bandbox? Is that the
term? Bandbox is the term. Great American Small Parking. And I love the amenities, but the other piece is I think it was Larkin who gave up something about like what a great seat. They're under 500.
Yeah.
Stop with that.
Yeah. Well,
and maybe sometimes stop talking.
What do you expect from him?
Jesus.
And that's, I know, ironic coming from us, but yeah, sometimes
Yeah,
silence is golden with regard to what you don't say is as important as what you do say. But I've always wondered that too, and maybe that's an extra, but how are ballparks able to make whatever distances they want from left field to right field to center field and have little carve outs and this and that and a hill and all the bushes and shit? How are you allowed to do that?
You mean you didn't like it in Houston? They had to eventually level it out because Fred, the center fielder, got tired of running up an incline to catch a ball.
How can you do that?
Well,
there are standard.
There are some, I think, minimum standards, but beyond that, you kind
base
of
path length. That's it.
Well, yeah, and then you kind of create your own. I'm sure if you put fences at 200, they might say move them back, right? But I mean,
why don't they just put some landmines out in left field?
Do the
Let's
little
see how
thing,
that goes.
Do the little thing like whenever they had like softball on a Major League Baseball field, they would put the temporary fence in because obviously it was different. I don't know. When we used to play, we didn't have enough dudes. We'd make like right field out. Like if you hit it the right and there's nobody out there, you were just out.
Oh, well.
So maybe they do that. Maybe they cut down. Maybe we won't have 9. We'll go 8.
Maybe they'll do that now that they're already putting somebody on second for extra innings. Why not just not even have a right fielder and just say if you hit it over there, you're out? How about that?
Time to move on.
Okay.
But anyway,
You're
join
probably
us.
right.
But part of Wednesday, or again, reminder, we're down at the Moorline Lager House. It's our larger than live. Literally live there on Wednesdays, 5 to 7. Awesome. We'll be outside. They've promised me. I made a call to some local weather forecasters.
No,
they
you
told
didn't.
me. They
No,
told
you
me.
didn't.
I did. They told me that sunshine, nothing but sunshine Wednesday. But after the Reds, White Sox, 12:35, come on over. If you need dinner before you go home, great place, full menu, awesome. I recommend the Moore Burger and the garlic Parmesan fries.
There you go. All right. And
Yes.
I
With a Barbarossa to wash it down.
The only reason that I know you didn't make any phone calls to meteorologists is none of them would take your call. That's the only reason Rico, I think,
hang
probably
on,
would
though.
give you one of these.
I did do it. I did right before opening day. I called News 5. I asked for Randy Rico. I did not realize at the time she was off. And Cameron Harding, who was there, I told him who I was. There happened to be silence. And then I just asked him about the forecast. I don't know. He gave it to me.
Yeah.
He
I'll
did.
bet he did.
No, there's one who I particularly like, and that's Frank Marzullo.
Yeah.
Who's on Fox 19 in the morning. I love him because he is brutally honest. He's honest. And he's not a panic inducer. Like when it rains, oh my God, it's going to rain.
Right.
If it rains, it rains. Just be done with it.
I like that from Marzullo, and I still like I like watching Randy because Randy can look at you and she go, and you know what? And like 8 tornadoes are going to come through and wipe out everything you own. But you know what? Tomorrow's a new day.
But I don't like that.
Well,
it's sappy. That's what I don't need.
But it's just one of those things. But she's not creating
I like
fear.
Randy.
She's
I
like,
like you. No.
Here are the facts. You do
Right.
with them what
No.
you will.
But here's what I
I'm
don't
not
need.
going to create fear.
Here's the other thing I don't need. I'm trying to get more time for my sports guys. So
Right.
we got to reduce weather. If you're heading out to the park today, or what, I don't need you to give me ideas of what I should be doing today. Just give me the damn weather, get it right, and you know what maybe I can do? Head to the park.
But I want to know what to wear to the bus stop. Fred.
Oh, that's another one, right?
You like the bus
You'll
stop?
need to bundle up and the traffic. Look, everything's red. Leave extra time. No shit. There's traffic. Leave extra time. Thanks for that.
Well, speaking of extra time, it's
Yes.
time to shift to the extra time. The second half of Larger Than Live. He's Gambl N Fin.
We have
Thank you guys
halves
for
here now?
checking
We
it out.
have
Well, we got basically 2 or 3
Okay.
major topics, and then we move
Right.
into the extras. The
I
other
still
one,
want the glass.
the what? What? No, what's
it's
what hourglass?
Hourglass,
Oh, yeah.
thank
I've
you.
got one of those somewhere.
Bring that
I'll,
sucker,
I'll
man.
bring it.
All right.
It'll shatter. Before
Okay,
we
what
have
are we talking about
So
now?
here's a question,
Yes.
and because people are starting to get back out on the golf course, this sort of popped into my head. And it applies beyond just, say, golf. But this was the example that
Okay.
popped into my head. Okay? And it has to do with cheating.
No,
Okay?
cheating in everything.
In everything.
right.
I mean, down to Monopoly.
Right.
I've never understood cheating. But let's just use golf for
Okay.
an example.
All right.
You're not any good.
That would be
So
me. Right.
you get out and you play with, let's say you play in a foursome.
Okay.
First of all, you take way too long to play.
I
because
don't.
I'm the same way. I grip it and rip it.
Now I'm visually impaired, so finding the golf ball can sometimes be an issue. I need some
sometimes-
I get my miner's light out again for the course.
Honestly, if depending upon dandelions or this, that, or the other thing, you can't find them anyway. And some of these courses are cut so horribly.
And when you're finished with this, I'll give you what irritates
Bottom
me.
line is
Okay.
so anyway, you're not that good, but you take a way too long
Yeah.
to play the
Hit the
game.
ball.
And go, and then when people have visibly seen you take 5 shots to get to the ladies'
All right.
tee,
And suddenly you wind up. What'd you have, Fred?
I had a 6. Oh, out of 7. No. Whoever had the worst score in the foursome, that person miraculously was only one worse.
Right, and they want to make it, but they're going to try to maintain some legitimacy. They're only going to add on 1, but they're going to be the worst. But you know they had an 11.
Right. And
So what you need to do is one time, you or somebody else count.
Oh.
Count legitimate the strokes.
I may have done that on 3 or 4
Did
holes.
you? Okay.
And I picked up 5 strokes that weren't even close to being counted. But this is the other
Yes.
thing that happens with that person. They go through the theater of this. Okay, so 1.
Oh, yeah,
2,
they're counting in their
3,
head.
and then
Yep.
4. And then 5. I'm like, okay, are you at 6? Because now you're at the ladies' tee.
Right.
Okay, 7 in the nest. Lost ball into the water. Okay,
Well,
you're
no
on.
penalty
Okay,
stroke,
you're
though.
into 19. Okay, 20. Oh, you had a 7. Is that right? And then you get down at the end, and you're not even playing for anything
Right.
aside
What's
from
the
just
point?
goofing up. Who are you cheating with that? Or to say, oh, this is a hard hole. I've been thinking about this one for a couple of days. What? Stop it.
Well, for me, that's every hole.
What are you talking
That's
about?
every shot.
I'll tell. Here's a great. I played it this past weekend, and these two stories are not at the least bit tied together. Yeah, they are. So I only play basically this one course every year. I can't remember this. There's people that can remember a shot they took a number 3 9 years ago that went here and then this. And these guys talk like this stuff all the time. I'm like, what hole is this again? It's the only course I play, and I can't remember the holes one to one.
When I used to be a sports writer and I would cover PGA events, they'd be like, oh, man, you're going to be late. I'm like, it doesn't matter. These pro golfers can tell me the yardage, the club, what happened on every hole. Hey, Fred, so you got an eagle on 7. Yep, I hit this. And one. I mean, I don't need to see that.
Right.
Now, there are
why
3.
cheat?
When
Why
you and I,
cheat?
well, here, I'm just going right out here now.
Okay.
When you and I play golf together, I'll just tell you now, I have 3 things I do. And I'm not hiding any of this. I will take 1 mulligan per 9, only 1. So I'm not taking 6, okay? I will not take penalty strokes.
You won't?
No.
Even on a lost ball?
No.
What?
I'm not taking a penalty. Dude, what? Okay, again, to your point, I'm not on tour. I'm not in an event.
Yeah,
it's
you're just
you
out
and
to
me
have
knocking
fun.
back some beers. And if I move a ball, I will clearly tell you. So, for instance,
Foot wedge.
if I whack one down, it's never in the fairway, and it goes to the right, they all go to the right, and I'm behind a rather large tree, I'm not risking my own life and limb to shoot it into it back to me. I'll say, hey, Fred, just to let you know, moving this out a bit.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Now, I would tell you.
All right, Judge
now,
Smales.
But hold on. If I actually got off to a start where, like, let's say the first couple holes I had maybe a par, whatever, then I would tell you, okay, I'm not. Because then I'd want to see
Fire for score, see if you
right.
could
Then
do
I
it.
want to see legitimate. But I'm not going to wait until you go around the bend, and then all of a sudden, oh my God! I used to have a buddy of mine from high school. He used to tee it up in the fairway.
What?
Oh yeah. Well, in the rough. I mean, not hit his tee shot, then bring another tee. But I'm going to take you one worse than cheating. Because honestly, if you're cheating, you got to sleep at night, Fred. You got to live with it, right? Here's the worst one for me. James hits it dead right into the Sherwood Forest, right? And what's he going to do? He's going to find the golf ball.
Oh, he'll find it. Yeah.
I've had guys I play with, I'm like, dude, here's another golf ball. You ain't just hit it. You're not finding that.
Yeah.
And then they're like, hey, these guys are right on our ass. Yes, because you've taken 10 minutes on every hole to search for a ball.
You're actually talking about looking for the ball. You're going to find the ball. I thought you meant they're going to find the ball.
Well, there's that.
There's that too.
But, here it is. Like, dude, I heard it hit 48 trees in there.
There's a better chance it's back in the parking lot than where you just said you found your ball.
Now, I will tell you one thing that does irritate, and I'm sure this has happened to you. Depending on the leaves, like if it gets hot and the leaves start to fall, there's nothing worse than like the ball was in like a 20-yard radius and you can't find it
That happened to me 4 times this past
my
weekend.
God.
A ball should have gone right there. We saw where it went, what, and it was just gone. It was gone. And the tournament that I was playing in, everybody's pretty much admittedly horrible. So there were people like driving in our fairway across, shooting back at this hole over here. We were going over here and doing this. I mean, we were there because we know we're not that good.
Now, do you play out of bounds?
There really was no out of bounds on this course.
Okay.
So, if you had a lost, and I had 4 or 5 penalty strokes on lost balls, but I said at the end I won because I found 5 balls and I lost 4. Now they don't match, but I found 5 and I lost 4, so that's a net 1. I win.
I like when somebody goes, I'm just using this range ball. I'm like, dude, a range ball, they're designed to not go as far. Like there's a Titleist and then there's a range ball. Put the range ball away.
Right. I've got one that's got like 9 skid marks on it from hitting cart paths. I get more distance out of cart paths than I get my driver.
That's a helper.
And I was made fun of for my driver that we featured in an episode a while back, just the bubble burner. Most guys have like a 5-wood now that's that size.
Thing that they have the bag for their clubs and the bag for their driver.
Well, right. And here's the other thing. These guys are using driver heads that are this big. They have to have a tee. I'm the only one that uses the regular size tee anymore.
And
I have a 9.5-degree driver. They're up here. It looks like a water tower by the time it's set up.
And they're using the club, and it's supposed to not have a bad area. They miss it almost every time.
Top it every time. Because
so
they
what's
look
the
up
purpose?
to watch it go at 300 yards, and it dribbles down off the front of the men's tee, and then for somehow they still get a bogey.
Hey, you'll be proud of me. So I thought that the golf league that I never played in previously was no more because I thought the course was being turned into condos. Boone County. So it's not. It's not yet. It's not. I haven't heard back from them yet, from the Boone County Planning Commission. I sent my resume in.
Did you
can't
really?
Imagine why.
So I thought you just stood out front and yelled it at
So
them.
the league is, well, that'll happen too. The league is back. It starts the Tuesday after Memorial Day, and I signed up.
Did you?
And I'm playing every damn week. So if you have any work for me that's on a Tuesday from 4 o'clock on, I'm not doing it.
Huh. Well, that way you won't call while I'm in the middle of doing the webcast for American Cornhole because you'll be playing
sucks
golf.
too, because if we ever needed a sub, I was going to call you. And
I'll blow that off.
Damn.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
You would enjoy, and it's like now, and I play legit there. Yeah. Like I would take strokes and all that.
Well, and we play. I mean, we're all bad, but we're also in it. Everybody's playing around the world in this group, the MGA that I talked about.
Yep.
We're all playing relatively the same. You got to do this. There's certain, lift, clean, place, no, this, that, and the other. We have certain ones, but there are some other great rules that, for instance, one of the rules that was put in place is that if you hit a par 3 green on the drive, you are allowed to do the Champions Walk, which means you immediately throw down your club and your glove, and you get to walk down the center of the fairway like this, and your partner has to pick up your stuff, walk up there, bring it to you, and then when you get up there, you mark your ball and hold it behind your head while you crouch. They have to clean your ball, hand it back to you, and put it down. Those are some of the rules.
All right, that's cool.
And they're just hilarious. They're so ridiculous. The guy that was the starter at the golf club was standing there just laughing his ass off at some of these ridiculous rules.
What did you shoot?
Of myself in the foot a number of times. But I was like a 110, 113. Right. It was brutal. I usually shoot.
Now, where'd you play?
Upper 80s.
Newman?
But no.
Glenview.
The Vineyard.
Yeah. For 2.
I usually shoot upper 80s, mid 90s somewhere.
That's about what I would say. I'm more 90 to 100.
Dude, I haven't played since this tournament last year. So and I came in second last year. So I'm like, I'm just extending the round. So hole number 1 is 19, and then we're just going to keep working our way around to keep my streak going. Well, I lost the very first ball I teed off into the woods, and I'm like, all right, it's over.
That's just frustrating.
And then I hit into some grass that looked like it had been cut by a running over it with the tractor without turning the blades on, and I jammed my back up. So now I'm dealing with a bad back as a result.
But by the way, you hit that grass. That was my front yard yesterday as I tried to cut the grass. It is
a little clumpy, Fred.
Stop raining,
it's a little clumpy.
Please.
All right. Well, speaking of clumpy, lumpy, and whatever, we're probably should remind you of a couple of things.
Yes.
You can find us all over the place. In fact, we're almost so many places now, it's even annoying us. Here on Fridays, here on Mondays at 7 o'clock.
Can you imagine this on Fridays?
No, I can't. Oh, we should do a happy hour special edition.
Yeah, we should.
Maybe in pub, bring people out.
Yeah.
And do that.
Right, because now you won't even have to wear your mask outside and go
That's
out
right.
back. There you go.
Sit out on his fence like a bunch of birds. The not on the one section, though, because that's still being fixed. Then there's a lot of inside jokes now. Wednesdays, 5 to 7 throughout the season at the Moorline Lager House. Food, great beer after the game against the White Sox game this week.
Yep.
We'll talk about all kinds of good stuff, chance to win prizes, trivia, anything, and all that. Then you can find us Thursday nights, Reds permitting, on 700 WLW from 9 to midnight for what we started with, calling the reality check. This spawned off of that spawned off of this, so on and so forth, and then anywhere else we can find.
Are we on this week?
I believe we are. We were off last week for the draft show.
I might make it.
And I think we're on this week.
I'll have to check my schedule.
Anyway, you know what? Check the WLW website. That should help.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
And
tell us what you find.
And if you find us, let us know.
We'll learn what's on before and after us. Lance is usually on before us if there's not a Reds game. So there you go.
So anyway, all kinds of good stuff, insights, any place else we can get out to. We will bring the show out on the road as well. We've done a couple of great shows out at the Ralph Fulton VFW Post. We've been out to Marty's movie premiere last summer. So any of those things. And if you're interested in sponsoring the show, we're more than interested in talking with you. Gambl N Fin, Gambl N, the letter N, Fin, at gmail.com. If you know anybody that'd be interested in being a sponsor for the show, product placement, whatever, we'll whore the whole thing out. But it'll be fun. And
we don't have many scruples.
No. Well, and we will not tell you we like something if we don't. Either.
That is absolutely correct.
We'll tell you
we're
the truth.
honest, except when we play around the golf.
Absolutely.
Sometimes.
Him and his foot wedge.
Right.
So anyway, bottom line is a little this here, there, and everywhere. We do the extras on our YouTube channel. Subscribe if you happen to be watching on the YouTube channel right down here somewhere below my shoe. And we'll look forward to having you join us again.
Yeah.
Ideally out live for the Moorline Lager House on Wednesday after the White Sox Reds.
Yeah, look forward to seeing you on Wednesday, 5 to 7, Moorline Lager House outside, so they say.
Absolutely. All right, very good. That's going to wrap up this edition, Season 2, Episode 12 of Gambl N Fin Larger Than Life here from Studio G. He's Gambl. I'm Finn.
And we are out.